and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name is Adam Cook and this is episode 515 of the show, and we're here to talk about games. And when I say we, I mean myself, Adam Cook, as I just mentioned, and Christopher Hyde. Hello, Chris.
Hello. I see I'm second again. I thought I'd be properly demoted for Whiffy Bants.
Whiffy Bants.
I'm second.
You're still second. And also with us this week in third, I suppose, is Lyle Carr. Hello, Lyle.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll take third. Really, though, if there was any week where I was gonna take Chris over, it's the week after he shared his pizza opinions, isn't it? So really, if I can't become second in command after that, it's never gonna happen, is it?
10 seconds before we brought that up. Okay, great. Good to know.
I mean, hey, listen, if you're watching this live, maybe we can ask more questions about pizza in the live chat. It's totally up to you as a watcher, as a viewer, as a listener. Or maybe you could just leave us, comments somewhere on the YouTube video for more questions for next week we can ask Chris. But also, that's in the past. You have to go to the past. There's a clip. We'll put up a clip of that bit because it is, even as someone who rarely praises anything that I'm involved in, I think that's pretty gold, that bit. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about this week. This week we're here to talk about some video games before we get into listener correspondence, of which we've got a few. And as I say, if you want to drop them in the live chat, that's fine. I don't often start off with stuff I've been playing, but I'm going to do it this week because I think it's probably the biggest game I've played recently. I went off to the Bethesda UK's office to play some Redfall. Yeah, there you go.
Cheers, mate. Right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Redfall. Okay, so I've said this on our video chat, and I did with Chris White, and I said so on the sort of actual preview itself. But I want to, for those who may not listen to that and maybe they just listen to the podcast, I want to clarify what this game is. Okay, now it is what you would expect from Arcane, the makers of Dishonored, of Deathloop, of that sort of thing. Okay, it is that sort of thing. But what I feel like they've done is they've massively tightened up the shooting, like in a really, really good way. And that's not to say that I thought beforehand the shooting was particularly bad or anything like that, because it was never like awful. But I've heard complaints in the past from people about like the a floaty feeling to the shooting sometimes, perhaps. And I actually understand. That. I don't think that it's bad, but I understand why people would be like, oh, it doesn't feel like, I don't know, name shooter here. So the biggest question I came away from playing it actually is how big the game is, because it's co-op, it's totally soloed. If you want to play it on your own, you can totally do that. There's a lot of skill trees involved, okay? And something I found particularly interesting is the skill trees, not all of them, but quite a few of them feel like there are options to spec in a kind of way that if you say, like, Chris, for example, you and I play a lot of co-op stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
I know now, having played this will be something we will do that with. Because the way the I don't want to call them classes, because they're not. They're characters who've got particular skill sets. The one I played as Layla, for example, like I said in the video, she's got like a spectral umbrella that can sort of... It's not like a thing you've never seen before. Like it absorbs bullets and then you fling the bullets back. She's got that ability. No one else has got that ability. So although they're not classes, they're distinct characters, distinct individuals with distinct skills. And a lot of the stuff in the menus that I was looking at with, like, in terms of speccing towards skills, it feels like it's designed to enhance multiplayer if you want to go down that route. What I would say, for example, as mad as it sounds, one of Layla's skills is she can summon like this purple, I keep saying spectral, but I can't think of a better way of doing it, this purple like elevator. And you can just plop it down somewhere and it's there for a certain amount of time, and if you walk into it, you bounce high up from it, and you can jump from above onto it to bounce higher, sort of thing. It's essentially a trampoline, right? But it automatically throws you up in the air, like just straight up. Now, like immediately in the skill trees,
like a trampoline,
yeah, like a trampoline. But immediately in like the skill trees, I unlocked the ability to put another one down. So, and I can't remember, was there a third? I can't actually remember, but that's kind of like me specking, because knowing I was playing it single player, that's like, well, actually, I'm not going to go for those skills because I'm not playing with anyone, so I'm going to go down this route of making these skills stronger or better in a way that enhances my experience. However, I did have a look at the options, and for example, you can make it so that if you want to, you could unlock a skill for that elevator skill, where if you as my teammates, you and Lyle jump into it, because obviously you can then pull your gun while you're in the air, you're enhanced while you're doing so. So I could throw the elevator down and carry on taking out whatever. But Lyle's playing as I think it's Jacob Boyer, the guy with the sniper rifle was his skill, and he can go into the elevator, fly up in the air, and it's enhanced. Like I think one of them was like it would heal you, I think, or enhance your damage. So there's that.
Yeah.
Now I didn't see the skill tree for the other characters, but I can only imagine based on the variation between I want to spec towards this or I want to spec towards because I play with my mates every time. But I also I think that's cool for a start. I think this is going to sound really weird that not the coolest thing, but one of the things I was sort of came away most excited for, because it's like, let's get this out of the way. It's vampires, it's cultists, it's got that spooky feel to it. It's great. Like I really dig it. It kind of feels like, how have Arcane never done this kind of thing before? Like they've got Deathloop and the Dishonored stuff, and now they're like these vampires. It feels like this is it. This is what they should have been doing. Do you know what I mean? But the coolest thing about it is that the main single player mission I played, I went into a mansion and I had to just kind of find out what was going on in this mansion, right? And the coolest thing about it for me was it took quite a while for me to let my brain click into gear, because this game's not popping. So I don't know what point in the game this comes, but we're allowed to talk about it. They've released footage of it. We've got footage of it, so it's not going to be a spoiler for you. It's going to be an early mission. You have to find 3 dolls to put in a dollhouse within this mansion. Next to the doll's house, there's a note, and it's one of them likes to be up high, one of them likes to be around plants, one of them likes to cook, right? So you go, well, one of them's kitchen, one of them up high. Well, because there's so many ways into each building. I hope they maintain that throughout the game. There's so many ways you could get into a building. In the end, because I had the elevator, I went up to the top of the building after taking out the sort of snipers vampires, and I went through the attic. So I already knew there was an attic. If I come in through the bottom of the building, I might not know there was an attic, and I'd have to do a bit more investigation towards that. There's a huge greenhouse at the back of the house. So this is where the 3 dolls are. Okay. Now, in a normal video game, you pick up this note and it goes bang, 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 and it pops up 3 things on screen on the top left of your screen. These are the 3 things you need to find, and then you can follow those 3 objective markers that will appear somewhere on the video screen. No, you have to go and find them. So if you haven't, I just happen to have explored that house thoroughly, so I knew straight away. Cooking. I've just literally come from the kitchen. She's going to be in the kitchen, that one. If you hadn't done that, you would have to go and explore the house. It does not go bang, 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 these are the 3 locations. You have to go and find that. And at first, even though I'd explored those things, it took a few minutes of me going, well, is this bugged? Why is there no thing popping up telling me where I need to go? I don't understand it. Because we've become so conditioned. We've become so conditioned to expect a game to just go, yeah, it's over there. Go and get it. And I don't know when that happened. But they're not doing that. And it's like, it's quite refreshing, because let's say we were playing it in co-op. I feel like that adds a further layer to it, where like, if we could have been exploring the mansion, the 3 of us, we could have just been like almost like Rainbow Sixing it, and the 3 of us hunkered down, sneaking around, or we could have one's gone upstairs, one's gone out and searched, and we've all found our individual areas, and it's like, that's exciting to me, that's clever. And that's kind of Arcane, I think. Yeah. I find them to be clever. Like, it's not revolutionary like that, but it is because it's clever. Because, as I say, you can picture it. Anyone who knows video games can picture. I picked up a note and I go ping, ping, ping on the top left screen in the UI, and then suddenly there'll be a radar or something. There's a radar, and you can mark up. You could put a marker down, but that's a different thing. That's you putting the marker down.
Yeah.
That's the main mission. That's like the story mission I played, which I found, genuinely exciting. And the other thing that was weird is that I expected it to end in like a big boss battle or something. No, you just find out about, you did what you meant to do. You got in there, you got information, you learnt more about the world, and you left. And it's like, okay. And I do totally respect that some people might go, well, that's not very exciting, but it's like, it actually is. It actually is. It is very exciting for me to have a game treat me with some intelligence. It's not like there were no enemies, There were plenty of enemies, loads of them.
I think it's interesting as well. Like, when you've got co-op gaming, where you can stealth, but you can run and gun and be loud and quick. I think sometimes if there is just markers everywhere telling you where to go, you can just get mix of this world that will just run to the marker. You know what I mean, though? Yeah, if people just go for that, and it takes I guess, the exploration, a bit of the fun, a bit of the cooperation out of it, because you're just going to a marker on a map. You're not working together for anything. Whereas, like, I guess if you've got to kind of discover it yourself, in the situation you just described, I can imagine one of us finding that sort of note or whatever, while the other people are out doing whatever, and then it's going, right, okay, we need to go and hatch a plan to figure out what we're doing, right? Which is how co-op should work, unless it's just like COD or something, which it isn't.
Yeah. No.
So like it should be about that. So like I actually quite like that, and plus, like, let's say there is quite a nice thing about not being treated like an idiot. Like, I can figure stuff out for myself. I don't need to be told. If I want my handheld, I'll ask, kind of thing, rather than like just go, did you see this? It's here. It's over here. don't stop having fun, kind of thing. Like, I like that as a
100%.
So, yeah, sounds good so far.
One thing that was like, because I feel like it's been a staple of every game they've done, is like the blink ability, where the kind of you all know what I mean. I mean, if you don't know the developer. But like no, but like I was a bit confused. I was like, I thought that would be a kind of everyone would have it. It's actually just that another character that I didn't play as has got that, and it's like they throw a mine, like a frisbee mine, and then you blink to it, so it stats in there. Yeah. But again, the idea that someone's got that and I haven't starts the cogs whirring. Like there's other stuff in there, like you can take over. There's a lot. I don't want to say Far Cry because I think people go, oh, hang on a minute, I don't want them to do Far Cry, but the thing is that I get that, and I'm not saying that. But what if Far Cry plus Dishonored? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that's what this is. I'm just saying, what if, to be completely reductive about things, you took a Far Cry game's kind of core and then gave it to Arcane to do their business with it? You're starting to get closer to what this feels like it is so far. There's like dungeons, there's loot, there's color-coded weapons. It's got the Bethesda thing that's where you can loot everything that's not nailed down. It's kind of like I said in the preview.
Lads. I'll say that now then.
Yeah, no, look, I've said. Well, no, but again, this is the thing. I don't know how big this world is. Like the map of Redfall, the town, actually doesn't look that huge. But I don't know if you go outside of Redfall or if it expands. So how some games will give you a map and then you found a. I have to say, from what I've seen, I think there's more to the map than I've seen, because it does look quite small, and it's just not. It's just there's too much. There's too much in the way of progression I saw. There's too much in the way of skill points and things to level up that like there's no way that's it.
Yeah.
But again, I got the feeling it was very early as well. Like there's a lot of exposition going on that's kind of like you would expect from a very early in the game. But the loot dungeons were cool because they do this thing. I likened it in the video preview to in Rainbow Six Extraction, when you have to like get a lost operative out of a sort of the alien tree thing.
Yeah.
So you go through this dungeon and you're looting stuff and finding cool stuff and new guns and all that, and then you get to that. That's the kind of end of that dungeon. I don't know if they vary yet or if I only got to see one. But once you do that, there's a timer. And it's like, get out. And I had to, because I did it, I actually asked the developer at the preview, what happens if I didn't get out in that time? And he says, well, basically, you still survive, but all the loot you got is gone. So it's like there is stakes, pardon the pun, at play here because you want to get that. The loot I got in there was like one of them was a new gun. I'm like, I want to try that gun, and there seems like a lot of guns, not Borderlands level perhaps, but like there seems like a lot of variation. Like even in the pistols I tried, the snipers I tried, there's a UV gun. Obviously because you've got to stake people, but there's another way to kill vampires. You can fire the UV gun, or flare guns is another way. I'm really excited. Like I said in the preview, that this is a serious Game of the Year contender, and I really do mean that. Like I can't see, like, if you really dislike Dishonored, if you really dislike Deathloop, I'm not saying that I think you're going to suddenly be completely converted, but the gunplay's better. I would go so far as to say that the kind of lore surrounding it, I found to be. I just really wanted to know more. By the time I finished that story mission, I really, really wanted to know what was going on, and I know that's like just one of the big bads in the game. And that's the other thing. Like they've released some information where there's like the big bad I was chasing in that section is like probably the first one, and I think there's like 5. So this is a bigger game than the preview build sort of show. But yeah, I can't wait to play it. I really can't wait to play it in co-op. And
it'd be nice to have a good, proper meaty co-op thing as well, because we haven't really had them this year. There's been loads of really good single player stuff, but
light on the multiplayer.
Do you know, I was a bit surprised that we weren't playing co-op, because it was a fairly small room at Bethesda's offices. I want to say there was about 12 of us in each session, and like we were still, I think it was 3 in a row, and I was surprised it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of thing that normally you would be forced to do, and I would come like, oh, why couldn't they just let me play the game on my own? I don't know anybody. I just it's
this person.
No, it's not that. It's just that playing co-op with people you know is such a different experience. But I was quite surprised. Like, and I will say that Harvey Smith seems like really genuinely like a nice chap, and like really wants this game to be brilliant. And I don't know, they've a developer that so far has my trust, and previewing this has done nothing to dissuade that trust. Moving on, I also have been playing a bit of a game called Tchia, which is not the noise you make when you sneeze. It is a game called Tchia that is basically, for me anyway, it's basically if they made Moana into a video game, but like Zelda'd it, which I think sounds great, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a very specific part of Moana where the Maui can turn into animals, I'm guessing.
Well,
you haven't seen Moana, have you?
Do you know
or
what?
I just literally dumped a load of...
No, I hadn't even thought of that part of it. I was thinking of the way she's sailing on like a little wooden,
okay, fair.
You know, and going around and meeting people.
Poet, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because you do. There's a thing called Soul. I think it's Soul Jump, where she turns into. It's not just animals actually. You can turn into a rock or a lantern or kind of in most things really. It should be absolutely brilliant. Like, it should be like Chris loved it. He gave it a 9 out of 10 on whatisageek.com. And I was really enjoying it. Like, I was really enjoying it. Like, it's a stunner. It is a stunning game that I will say has at one point it was like updated every single day I was playing it, and it never fixed the frame rate on PS5, which is bit of a shame on a machine that powerful. But from what I understand, it isn't just the PS5 that I think it's that game. I think I've heard people say on PC it struggles a bit. It's quite a laid back experience. When I talk about like it being Zelda-like, it's there is combat, but it's kind of rudimentary. Like, you basically there's a weird story going on. There's like the enemies are kind of like paper trail type characters made up of paper. It's very odd. And you turn into a lantern, and then you can soul jump out of them. So when you remove yourself, you kind of fling the object. So you sneak up as a lantern. They're paper, so you fire it at them and you burn them, and they disappear, and you'll so on and so forth. But to me, a lot of it was about exploration of what I played of it, and I think that's what they want you to play it as, because it's I hate to sort of shit on one aspect of a game, but I feel it's quite an important aspect that I don't think is done quite right. So there's a map, obviously, but I don't think they get it right. So there are waypoints, like literally street signs, wooden street signs in areas, and when you go to them, it'll go bang. They're not called waypoint, but whatever they're called, location found, and it will plop her Tchia on the map as being right there. The second you move away from there, if you click on the map, you're not on the map anymore. You can click a button, and it will give you a giant sort of circle saying and she will even say like, oh, I think I'm somewhere around here, and it's like this big circle, and it's not enough. It's
why would it do that?
Because it's trying to make you explore. It wants you to recognize that it's from a good. It's not. I don't think it's a design decision by mistake. I think it is very deliberate that they want you to go, I recognize that, I recognize, but I don't think it kind of landed for me, because I found it, because it also has fast travel. If you go to a jetty, you can fast travel to previous jetties you've been to. So if you're going to include that in your game, which is obviously not realistic. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like it works. It's one or t'other,
weird
you know?
to take one, and yeah, definitely that.
I guess I feel like, I mean, I haven't played it, and I will play it mainly because I want to shit like a bird. But like, I want to try it because, like, what we spoke about it after you'd played it, and you're like, you should give it a go. So Chris gave it a 9, right? So like, and it looks lovely. I just haven't had a chance this week, but I've got it downloaded. The thing, so I'll see how I actually feel like when I play it. But like what you just described, it feels like if you're going for exploration, and like, you know, I don't quite know this area, and then you do the whole thing that says, but you've now found a lamppost, so now you kind of do because or a jetty that you can fast travel to. Kind of feel, and you go, well, now I know that area because that's what I'm going to fast travel to.
Yeah,
that's how I fast travel to it. You know, you're just not seeing the travel. The whole point of fast travel is your character goes there because they know where it is. Otherwise, how the heck do you fast travel? So kind of feel like I'm fine with. I'd be fine with it leading up to a place of me finding a fast travel point and going, I think I'm around it. That makes sense, right? But if it's doing it after I've kind of discovered the area, I'm like, has she just got mild amnesia? What's going on here? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not understanding exactly what the play of the game. It sounds a bit of an odd thing.
It's like there's so much cool stuff about it, like just sort of minting around on your little makeshift boat, and
it looks lovely
because you control it physically. So there's an anchor. You go up to the anchor and throw it, and you throw the anchor in. There's you climb the sail.
The wind direction.
No, you only sort of. You climb the sail and you hold up or down, and you go faster or slower. And then once you've set your speed, you run to the back and you hold onto the rudder and you move left. And that's great. And then you'll find like a treasure location. So you're like, oh, quickly pull, and you do it all. And then you jump into the water, you dive under the water, you find a treasure chest. It's like really cool exploration. It even takes the Zelda thing, the Ocarina of Time thing, where you get a ukulele and you can play it, and it changes the time of day. It even does that. And another thing, like, so it's got music segments that are, like rhythm game music segments, and they're really lovely songs, and they're all too long. Every one of the so the first one you get, she picks up 2 like dried leaves, and her dad's playing the uke, and you've got 2 leaves, and she sort of rubbed them in time, and it just goes on, and you're like, this is a tutorial thing. I get it. I don't need to be playing the leaves for this long. And then you get the guitar, and she's playing the guitar in them, and it's a little bit less. But it's like you can just click the left stick, and you just don't play them, and it just does it for you.
Skip it.
You don't skip it. No, I guess you could probably click the skip button, but you just the rhythm stuff goes away off screen, and she just plays along. You can even, and I can't fault the accessibility in that respect, because you can actually. I don't think I've seen this too often. You can say you're just walking around the world, and you're like chapter 4 or act 4 or whatever. You can just press start and go skip this section, and I was like, what? And it's like you can actually just skip the gameplay section and just move to the next story beat. And you could probably, maybe I'll try it. You could probably complete the game that way.
Speedrun the game by skipping it.
You can just skip it. No, I totally get that. Like what there feels like to me is a slight disconnect between wanting to be like this really beautiful, because it's from a small studio who are really proud of where they came from, and it's about New Caledonia, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and it's this really beautiful tale, really well told, beautiful music, gorgeous looking, everything that you would want in a game, really, and super accessible. But if this, I don't have to say it, that sort of side of things is awesome, but that's not what people like us are playing games for, if that makes sense. You want, and I don't even mind there not being a challenge, but there needs to be.
There needs to be stuff to see and do, even if it's.
I know there is. It's just a little bit like in the chat. Steve says the movement feels floaty. It does. It feels all a bit empty, not world-wise. It just feels a bit.
I mean, I mean, I guess first off, like long rhythm sections, like I'm in, like.
Yeah, you say that.
But like, well, no. That's my bag. I play Donkey Kong until the cows come home, as with Lyle. But like, it's I think it's difficult because the vibe I get, and not just because of the way it looks or anything like that. The vibe I I get from everything I've seen about this, and it might be underselling it, is it feels like it's maybe made for younger audiences. Like the Moana thing's a really interesting comparison. I don't know. I've not played it, so I might be wrong here. But
so I thought that, but I have heard there are some quite dark moments in it, like to do with like. I want to say I read somewhere like slave trade and stuff, and
oh blimey, okay.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen in Moana.
Don't want my 5-year-old seeing that.
Look, it is a good game. It is a good game. It's a well-made game. It's a really interesting game. What it feels. I think this is the best way to describe it. Is when like I'm talking about that one game on the side that it's beautiful, music's amazing, accessibility is amazing, but then on the other side you've got the gameplay, and I feel like they're kind of the two are rubbing against each other a little bit rather than smooth sailing together like the left hand, the right hand. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're sort of rubbing against each other a little bit. That by trying to appeal to this side or this side, the other has lost out a little bit in the process. But it is well worth, if you like that kind of game, having a look at. Don't expect too much challenge, I think, is one thing I would say. And I think, I mean, I spoke to Steve actually about this. I personally found the map thing a bit of a deal breaker, and I know he struggled with it too. Because it's quite animated, if that makes sense. Like, so you click the button to find out where am I, and it'll go whoosh, draw a circle, and she will go, I think I'm somewhere in between here and here, and you can't move when you think, well, that's happening, and it's just a bit. Just make it quicker. Just make it a little bit quicker. Just do a big circle.
Yeah, this is the thing. The reason why like I said, I will play it and have my own judgment. But like the things you're saying, literally, my daughter's playing this blooming Peppa Pig game at the moment. This is tangential, but screw it. I tangential every week now. That could be my thing. Yeah. And it's obviously very basic. She tried Banjo-Kazooie, that was too hard. So now she's gone Peppa Pig, and it's like. It's literally just moving around and pressing A and just exploring and having a bit of fun, right, around this various things of Peppa Pig. But like literally things like that, like there's no like skip or anything on anything, and it's like things just take ages. And like if I was playing this, it would drive me mad. But then like younger people love it because they're like, yeah, it's this bit, like kind of thing. And I'm not trying to say that you
but might be right. I
don't know.
Right.
I mean, if it's slave trade, it definitely isn't. Like
I haven't seen any of that stuff.
Yeah,
everything I've seen of it
like,
is I might have even made that up, and I found it charming and nice.
And there sounds like there's plenty there for me to enjoy.
There's just not enough for me to come back to it right now. I don't think
if it's like whether it annoys whether it and. Those things put me off it enough to put me off it, if that makes sense. Or you just go, no, do you know what? I'm embracing it for the whole of what it is, and I haven't played it, and I will.
I'd be surprised if it didn't wind you up more because, like, you have to find stamina fruit or soul. I forget what they're called, but it's the same sort. A collectible basically to enhance your bar for your soul jump or your stamina, same as you would in Breath of the Wild or whatever. But without that map. Like it does this really weird thing. Like you'll see a soul fruit on the screen, and you go, "Okay, I'll go and get that because it's just in someone's garden." So you run up to it, and it'll go soul fruit placed on map, and you're like, "It's right there." That's not helpful. It's not going to be there much longer. I'm about to go and eat it. Like yeah, I don't know. It's just not going to get me to come back to it when there's games like the one that Lyle's going to talk about next, that I have played a little bit of, that I want to play a lot more of, which is Lyle.
It's sticking with the nautical theme.
Yes.
I have been playing and have reviewed, and which you can find on the site and everything. Dredge, all capitals Dredge. I should shout it really, but it might mess with the audio.
Sorry, can I just say those games wind me up where they
all capital games.
All capitals. There's a few of them, and I hate it. Moving on. I'm sure this is great as a game. But please don't do that.
It's always a weird decision, and it feels like a weird decision for this because it's like.
It's an aggressive word as it is, I think. Like, then go, Dredge! Like, it's just like, you've got to shout it every time. Sorry, carry on, I'll get over this.
So, Dredge, when you think of fishing in video games, I imagine you think about, well, yes, first and foremost, you think about penis things, obviously. But I imagine you think about stuff like Animal Crossing or JRPGs where they have a fishing minigame and it's all this relaxing, nice time. Now, Dredge is not that. Dredge is not that at all. Dredge is a horror fishing game, which is the weirdest sentence you can say. It's something where I can't imagine telling someone who, especially who isn't particularly well versed in like smaller indie games, that horror fishing games exist. But they do because of Dredge. So essentially, you crash land on this island and your boat's fucked. So the mayor of the island, who like seems a little bit shifty, is
He's got the eyebrows.
He's got the shifty eyebrows.
He's got the lot.
Yeah, he's just a bit of a sort of skeevy character, really. But he sort of says like, "Oh well, it's fine. I'll give you my boat, and you can just pay me back by, once you've sold some fish from it." So it's like, "All right, okay, I'll go out and go fishing." So you go out to a patch of mackerel, and you set off to fish it from it, and you get sort of like a timing mini game where like a little node goes around a circle, and you've got to like hit it in time to reel the fish up faster. And it's quite compelling, quite nice. You go back, you sell your stuff, you start to repay your debt, and you get all these little quests as you go. So like you'll go back and you'll be like, "Oh well, I want these sorts of fish." It's like, okay, well, I'll explore and find that. That's fine. And then eventually you get, "Oh well, these fish you need to go out at night to get these." And I was like, okay, well, not really been out at night yet. It gets dark, and I think, well, I guess I'll go to bed and have it be nice and bright and colourful the next day. And so you go out at night, and you have a panic meter that starts to fill up, and you think, "Oh,
Amazing.
this is something that's not in nice video games."
I can't imagine a panic meter in Animal Crossing. That would be great.
It would actually be that would make me want to play Animal Crossing. So yeah, I'm in. So you're like, okay, well, I've got to get these fish, so I'll go over there. I've got my little light on. I can barely see, so but like I can tell there's a bit of splashing over here, so I'll go get a squid. And then eventually this like eyeball at the top of the screen just gets more like bright red and pulsating. It's like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not doing great now. And like swirling vortexes might appear in the distance, which that summon a sort of massive sea creature that attacks you, or crows will start flying above your ship with blood red eyes and swoop down and attack your boat. And you think like, oh shit! So you rush home, obviously.
So without spoiling anything, obviously,
yes.
Is it like what you've just described?
Yeah.
Is it like real in the sense of like, is it a sanity thing type? Is it an Eternal Darkness thing, or is it like you were scared because you saw crows?
No, it's real, isn't it?
It is real.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you find.
Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm not trying to ask.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah,
It's not like
I was going to ask Lyle this.
Hallucinating,
No,
basically.
well,
I
it's not
found
like
a fish.
I see stuff because I'm panicking, kind of thing.
No,
Yeah.
because during the day I found like what I would call like a mutant fish, and I don't know if it was story based or you. I suspect it is, but perhaps randomised. You'll find one eventually. But I found I've been catching cod, which are the L-shaped Tetris piece.
They are,
and we need to get to that. That can't be forgotten.
Sorry, what?
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get to, let's just say it now. So we've all been playing Resident Evil 4, and it's got the attaché case. It's basically your boat is that attaché case as well. So when you catch a fish, like the fish is the cod's an L shape, and eels
it's like
are
potion permit. Okay, great, fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I was just grabbing loads and loads of cod because I was early game, and I thought I just want to see what happens. And suddenly I caught a cod. I think it was a cod anyway. Now I've said cod enough times; it has to be. And it just had this, like, I don't know how I'd describe it. I mean, Lovecraftian feel to it, with a bulging eye. And when I went to sell it, he went the bloke who normally just goes, "Yeah, here's your money, fuck off." Basically went, can I have a look at that, please? And then he pulled some sort of mystical handkerchief out of it, gave it to me, set me on a whole quest line to meet some shady guy at his house who now wants me to go. He gave me the dredging equipment to get shipwrecks dredged so I could find all this other mystical. It's a fucking really cool game in so many ways.
It starts off as fishing simulator,
yeah, but not for long. I mean, within 30 to 40 minutes,
flips and goes. There's shit going down.
But do you know, it does this really cool thing as well. Spiritfarer, I think, is the game it reminds me of in this respect. It's nothing like Spiritfarer, but this particular bit. Well, it kind of, the art style and like the,
Okay.
But like in this, so you can see that, like, oh look, there's definitely a thing I can go and catch fish there because that bit of water's swirling.
Oh, I see,
Every fish has got, like, the mini game is the same, but the mini game is different. Like,
Yeah.
so like I think it was like mackerel or something that was like 3 dashes around it. But eels, it's 2 separate bars that are spinning.
Yeah.
And dredging for stuff is like completely. Again, they're all kind of adjacent, but they're all different. Each thing has a different mini game, and they're all.
And it sort of becomes more as you go on as well. Of just these like very and it never feels like it should be. It's like that much different. It's always the same. Like you've got one button you press, and it'll be timing based in some way. But there's one where it's kind of like how it happens in like RPGs sometimes, where there's like a small circle and it expands, and when it overlaps with another circle, if you hit it at that time, it's like the timing speeds up and stuff like that. And it goes on like that for ages. Like the fishing side, but if this was like a fishing simulator game with a bit of exploration, it'd still be a very good game.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's really compelling, it's really enjoyable, and then when you've got like the dredging as well, where you're getting things off like the sea floor and from like shipwrecks, and you're getting different materials.
Does that ever stop being exciting? Because every time I go to dredge, I'm like, oh. When you go fishing, you're going to probably catch 3 or 4 fish. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes you catch like, what's the term these? Like the ones that are different color because
oh yeah,
they go for a bit more money. They're like trophy
fish. Yeah.
But with dredging, like you're just going to get one thing quite often, like because you're dredging for a specific, you're dredging like a and it's so exciting. It's pathetic, but it's so exciting. I'm like, what am I going to find off this shipwreck? And then they throw all that kind of all the story stuff and the requests and quests from all these people that start showing up all of a sudden, and there's the upgrading of your ship and storage, Chris, and
storage.
I briefly saw on the screen there was storage, and I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah,
that and Tetris Fish. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got storage.
I will say I liked it a lot more when the first upgrade I bought was to make that ship faster. I bought a second engine.
Oh yeah,
it's slow at first.
You improve everything pretty quickly, and there's like some magic powers essentially that happen quite quickly as well that help with stuff like that and all sorts. But like it manages to stay quite varied despite the fact it's sort of almost like it feels like it should be a repetitive game. Like when you're exploring like around the outside of islands and suddenly you'll find something just completely unexpected, and then there's sort of like 5 distinct areas that the game takes place in. It's like a sort of like chain of different islands, an archipelago, if you will, and so like one's like a volcanic area where you've got to avoid like fiery hazards, and one's like a big tangled web of mangroves, and each of them always have different types of different like quest lines to go down, which can be really different. Like a lot of them might just be to get specific fish, but some of them really shake things up and make you do things that you just haven't been doing at all before then. And like you get different fishing upgrades, like crabbing pots that you can drop into the water and just leave there, and then go get and then come back in like a couple of days. There'll be loads of crabs in there, or you can get a net that you attach to the back of your fish to the back of your little vessel. That's cool. And then as you travel, you just passively you don't ever get trophy fish or the special fish, but you get you get fish as you go. So it's like you're passive.
That's cool because it's allowing you to it's removing the grunt work that you have at the start of. That's really cool, clever. I have a question for you. Okay.
Yes.
And I want you to because I'm going to play more of this. So I want you to, if as best you can, not spoil, please.
I'll try.
Is there a fail state as such? Like when it gets dark and that eyeball starts filling up, I shoot myself and I'm like, I'm going home. I mean, I've already gone to sleep in my boat in other islands because I'm like, I'm not going to make it. Is there, like I say, without spoiling too much, is there a fail state as such like that? What happens if it? Well, no, I don't want to know.
Well, you don't have to worry about this as a spoiler because I don't know. I didn't ever have that happen in terms of like I'd take 2 or 3 hits and I'd be like from like specific scary things. I'd be like, I'm fucking out of here. Like,
well, that's what I'm getting at, is that it does a good job of that. Like it for its art style, it puts.
It is scary.
I was going to say it puts the willies up you, doesn't it? Like it does. It does. No, that is a phrase. That is. Chris, don't look at me like that. That's a phrase.
Good phrase.
I haven't used that. Like I haven't heard that since I was a kid. But like that is a phrase to say that it does well. Oh yeah, that's worse. Yeah, that's yeah, I didn't even know what I was saying, but it does scare you. It does scare you. Like, and it shouldn't, because it's a beautiful game. It's got this I can't place. So you've got the game itself that you're playing most of. You know, when you go to a place and you speak to someone, it really reminds me of something, that art style. And I can't. Is it? No, it's not Darkest Dungeon, is it? It's got a similar art style to some. Yeah. It's something you and I have both played. I think.
Oh, Circus Electric.
That's the one.
Yeah, similar,
that's the one. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, I didn't play that, but I know what you're on about.
Yeah, the art style's lovely.
Yeah.
It's a really good game that I really wish I hadn't waited like weeks to play, like until today.
Yeah, I
could have finished it probably.
Yeah, you probably would have, because it's also not like particularly long.
That's music to my ears.
It's not gonna take away, hours and hours of your life. Like it's it's hard to say the exact.
Octopath Traveler 2.
No, it is not Octopath Traveler 2. But it's like I think on my Steam library it says I've played like 9 hours, but I started again after the preview, so I don't know how long I spent the first time around. So it feels like it's sort of in the 6 to 7 hour range, really. So yeah.
It's funny though, because you mentioned Octopath Traveler there, and I've been trying to. I want to ask Lyle how many chapters for each character, but I don't want to know, because this is a game where if I come December, if I cannot sit here for Game of the Year and say I've finished that game, I'm genuinely going to be quite angry with myself. Now I know that's a long way away,
but it's not that long. It's not
long away.
I'm doing quite well to chip away at that, but
I know you are. That's what's kind of making me angrier. That's making me angrier, because I think I had it like 3 weeks before you. So it's only making me more cross. Not at you, to be clear, at me. It's me.
Yeah, but like what you're forgetting is like my contribution to Game of the Year is about 3 games at this point.
Yeah, but also what you're forgetting is that you don't play handheld. I can, and I'm not, and that's me. It's on me. And like knowing that, sure, we're in March and it's December. Long way away. We've got more than half a year. But suddenly, when you start talking about Tears of the Kingdom, Redfall, Starfield, all of a sudden, it doesn't quite seem.
Did I mention how good it is?
Yeah, I know how good it is, Chris. I've played it. I just
some of the later chapters. Are great.
No, I bet.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better, I'd say.
No, I don't doubt that one bit. I don't doubt that one bit. But now the thing is I do. But you've told me that Dredge can be done in a certain amount of hours. I'm like, well, I could just knock that one out. Oh, fucking hell. I could just finish that game. And, I just got to listen to Correspondence before I say something else. Let's just do it.
Chris Hyde. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Okey-doke. So, listener correspondence. I feel like, actually, I know this is my segment, and I don't want to downplay it, but I feel like you need to ask the first question, Adam.
Why?
Because it's directed at me.
It is.
So I'm not that
egotistical
where I just refer to myself in the third person every time.
Fact.
Do we want to do... Okay, we can do this first. So the first question is from someone called Yves Cuisinier. No, it's French, isn't it? So Yves Cuisinier? Cuisinier? Yves Cuisinier.
Could be Ev. Anyway, carry on.
Yves Cuisiner says, Chris Hyde mentioned something about bread while talking about his weird pizza opinions last week. Can he elaborate on that, please?
I really didn't want this. Okay. I genuinely didn't.
I did.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
I'm really pleased this real person.
Can I ask? I'm going to say it anyway. Is this a real question, or did you put it in just because you wanted to hear the answer?
I just like to think about their name for a moment, maybe.
Because the name...
Yeah. Let's go through the name. What about the name?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind you could be insulting a dear
listener. The name
listener.
means evening food.
I would say that Eve as a name matches up to a member of our site quite well. If you were going to say
Mick and Eve.
Yeah, no, not Mick and Eve. Someone else. Like a maybe biblical. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
Who? Oh, you mean like Adam and Eve?
I mean like Adam and Eve.
Oh, okay.
And cuisine. It's like... we were talking off the pod, saying... I think Adam sent a message to me saying... Chris does realise that when I've put Eve Cuisiner, it's like a really obvious connection to my name. And I think my response was something like, Oh, surely it's not a fucking Silent Hill riddle, is it?
Yeah, that is exactly. Well,
And then I sent the message going, where did we get that?
It's nice to have an email question.
which I couldn't tell if you were serious or you
genuinely
twigged straight
thought, right,
away.
I'll just say, I genuinely thought, I've touched the public, and
There's the title.
They were so like just enamored with our podcast last week that they were like, I really want to hear chapter 2. But no.
Eve is like the opposite of Adam, isn't it? Adam and Eve.
I mean, okay, no, yes, I get it.
Yeah, and cuisina is according to Google Translate is cook translated to French. So,
I mean, I don't believe that for a second.
That's why
probably the
I
verb
literally
to
put
cook rather than the noun of like a chef. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but if I put Eve Le Cuisinier, I think you would have probably. I mean, I was going to go with Alan Chef. Right.
Alan Chef, I would have.
That's
got.
what I mean. But then I knew you'd get that straight away. But let's not pretend. Let's just pretend it's real. Because you can't tease like this. You got to tell us what you said.
No, okay. So
thank God I wasn't asked about bread. Why?
Okay, so listen. I've said this before. Like, I hate my brain, right? Because this is what I'm about to say is genuine, and it's annoying how passionate I am about it. Right, it annoys me when I step back and go, I wish you weren't that weird, but I can't help it, right? So like bread.
Yep,
okay?
Yep.
So this has to start with like I guess a machine sliced loaf, like a Warburton's or something.
Okay,
so I've got to set the scene of the type of bread I'm talking about.
I mean, that's already quite upmarket, but sure. Yeah.
This does then transfer to how I work with fresh bread and freshly sliced bread, but it starts with like, a sliced bread.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'll start with a question, okay, to see how weird I am.
Okay.
Right? If you were cutting a slice of bread in half, what's the right way to do it?
Okay, I have an answer to this, yeah?
I mean, to be fair, I hope you both have answers.
I do, but I have one ready. I'm not sure. Adam doesn't look quite as 100% prepared, but my answer is I don't fucking care.
Okay, Adam.
Like, however, I will slice it however I want on a given day, and not mind.
You see, that's why I think I look so confused because I don't think I understand the question.
It's like if you have if you slice a sandwich in half, do you like it as triangles or squares?
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, I don't really mind. Like, I'll have a triangle sandwich, or I'll have
and this is where
I wouldn't go squares because I'm not like 5. I'd have rectangles, so in half.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah. To be fair, I cut my daughters into squares.
Yeah,
okay, you're right. Maybe squares is a little bit.
And she would correct me if I called a rectangle a square. So yeah, let's.
But no, the reason I look so confused is I was like, what's the alternative answer? And I sort of think we're about to find out.
I'll be really clear. Like, if you put a slice of bread down, and then you're slicing it vertically.
Oh man.
Okay.
You're a fucking maniac.
Right.
Okay.
Right? If you slice it diagonally, I can get with that. That's what restaurants do. That's what sandwich packs do, and I can get behind that, but we'll come on to that in a minute. And if you slice it horizontally, again, I can deal with that. If you slice it vertically, you're a fucking maniac. And the reason for it, right, is because as we all know, the bottom of a slice of bread is orders of magnitude worse tasting than the top of a slice of bread. Yeah? Yeah?
I would...
Talk to me. No or yes?
I don't feel as strongly as saying orders of magnitude.
Oh, no. Okay. This is my brain, though. So, right. So if you've cut it vertically...
I feel like I just need props.
You've made a conscious decision to include the shit, middle, and best part of a half of bread, and that's just maniac. What we do in my world, where I'm saving the best till last, as we all know what happens there.
We do know that.
I want to separate the top half of the bread from the bottom half, which means you can either do it diagonally or you can do it horizontally, and everything's fine. And then once you've done that,
it's not over.
I will always, this never without fail, will eat. If I've got a sandwich,
oh god,
the sandwich that has the bottom first and the top second, every single time, because the bottom of the bread tastes worse than the top of the bread, and so therefore I'm having the worst half of the sandwich first.
But does that mean
so?
that
If someone cuts it vertically, there isn't a worse half of the sandwich because it's equally as good and shit as each other, right? So you can obviously imagine the spectrum of emotions when I get a pre-packed triangle sandwich, right? And the absolute devastation if I get 2 bottoms put in that, or the absolute elation if I get 2 tops put in it.
So just, I want to be. I feel like I would actually genuinely
There's probably
need
pause for
some sort of
questions now,
therapy. Yeah, like so.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, I'm holding a
we
piece
need
of bread,
explanation.
and when you say the top, you are
Yeah.
talking about the piece that in let's say a traditional picture of bread, it's kind of like almost the bum or heart shaped, and
Yes,
the bottom
yeah,
is
the
perfectly.
top, yes.
Perfectly square.
Oh, shit, I'd like to hope that I didn't have to explain the top and bottom of bread to people.
I mean, I don't think of bread as having a top or bottom because it's just a square slice. Like it's not that big a
But you see,
deal.
this is the thing.
It's always up that way when it's in any kind of packaging. It's always up that
Okay,
way.
but that's what we're saying though. But if you had a fresh square, literally, by the way, called square loaf,
Yeah, I'm aware.
are you like just in bits because you don't know what's the top and the bottom?
You always know what's the top of the bottom of it. It tastes different.
You
It looks
always
different.
know.
No, you do
tastes
because
different. It
the
doesn't-
top is always like slightly. There's
Look,
always a slight
I can
tinge to it.
I
and the
can get
bottom's always
behind.
sort of like. I'm bad with words. You know this from last.
No, but listen. I can get behind a lot of what you're saying.
Fluffier, like yeah.
No,
like
I understand the words you're saying, and I understand what they mean, and I even can understand. Like, I would not be that fussed about it, but like, well, first of all, no, we need to pull back.
Yeah.
I have never seen it or heard of a human being who would cut that sandwich vertically. Like, never in my life.
Well, this is what worries me about Lyle because he said he doesn't give a shit. Like, I think
I'd still eat it,
people
though.
that cut
Yeah,
their
but
sandwiches vertically are fucking deviants and need to be put in prison
Yeah,
or
but
something.
I'm saying, if you offered me a sandwich and did that, I would probably go, that's a bit odd. Nom 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 nom. But like to make a conscious choice, I mean, it's how you brought up in it. But that's kind of neither here nor there. Like we can shelve that.
So like I've cut a slice of toast vertically once by mistake. Because, like, let me go. Yeah. So, like you said before, like when you're cutting for children. So when Matilda was a lot smaller, she used to have like it cut into 6. So I'd go down the middle and then into 2 more, so 6 bits. And I was on autopilot, thinking I'm cutting it for her because I cut toast for her.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
And I cut my own toast vertically, and this is the thing. Like,
what did you do?
I'm embarrassed. I was genuinely sad.
Did you eat it? Did you eat it at least?
I did eat it, but I didn't want to eat it.
No, but you did. That's the important part.
And I can tell you now, if Zoe makes me a sandwich, it will go through her mind to cut it vertically to piss me off.
Yeah,
I mean not being funny. I think for all of us, this is going to become a thing now.
It's just.
First God is a geek meat. I want to tell the caterer you must cut vertically. So right, hang on. So let's say you do have someone has provided you a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Because my wife's done this to me before. And again, like you say, when you're tired and your kids are young and you're not thinking. And I've had a sandwich served to me that's been cut into 4 before, and we've had that joke of I've gone like I'm not the chop. That's the thing, isn't it? Because it's for kids.
Yeah.
So you got the bottom 2 bits, which are part of fucking hell, I'm gonna have a part of the good bit of bread.
No, the bottom bit's the worst.
Yeah, the top bit's the good.
Oh, okay, that's kind of even weirder to me. That's like, all right, well then fine. So you've got the bottom. Which of those bottom 2 bits would be the worst? Which is the worst from the bottom 2?
So if
how far down the rabbit hole do you
I'm
go?
not like the left bottom quartile.
This
is
is
the
what
worst.
I'm wondering.
I'm not that fucking weird. If you cut it into 4, I'm always eating the bottom 2 first.
Yeah,
because they're the worst.
When did this start?
Get them out of the way. Every single time.
Yeah, but when did it start? Like, when do you remember?
Oh,
being this way.
time immemorial. I don't know.
You served a sandwich and like you started eating the top first, and you were struck. Like what?
No, I don't know. To be clear, my parents aren't like
violent
sandwich fascists. They haven't put that's not instilled from birth by parenting. this is my weird brain massively extending on the whole thing about pizza last week about eating the worst bit first and the best bit last. And I've made a distinction around a slice of bread and have said that is categorically the worst part of a slice.
You see,
of
but
bread.
that's the bit I have the problem with, because I understand, because what you're describing impartial is the kind of, like, I have an OCD thing. I hate to generalize, but that's what people, I've got OCD, where I like the light switches a certain way, right? That is a thing, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's just a thing. I like to have them both flush. Like, I wouldn't like them opposite. I like the radio in the car to be on an even number. That sort of thing. I totally understand in what you're saying in terms of I like my bread sliced a certain way. Again, I don't go that far, but I can understand it. The issue I have is you saying there is a categorically, I believe you said, better tasting part of the same slice of bread. Yeah. That's the issue I've got. Like, I can absolutely get behind you even going, I really like it cut into triangles or whatever. Absolutely, because we've all got foibles about preferences and things. But to actually stand there and say, this slice of bread is better here and worse here, to me, that's the bit that is...
So hang on, but okay. Right, but are you... Okay, there's a difference, though. So, like, it tastes different. You might not care, but you can't sit there and say the very top part of a slice of bread.
Definitely can say that.
Bottom.
I definitely can say that. I think that bread. So you're giving me a slice of bread with nothing on it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me No, I can't agree with you. It's bread. It tastes different.
I
promise you, it's not even for the podcast. I don't. Is it me, Lyle? Or is it him?
I get that you might not. I get that you might not put any credence to like the difference, but to say that they taste the same is just not true.
But they are the same. They are literally.
I think the top bit of bread, the top crust, if you will, does have a different taste because of where it's been baked. Like, exactly. I get that.
That's all it is, yeah.
I think that's the worst bit of bread.
And that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I don't mind it. I was more annoyed at the fact that he went, it's the same all the way around.
Okay.
I was like, fucking ain't. Like, if you like the bottom, more power to you. We'll have
great sandwiches.
Sandwich brilliant. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
We'll just swap halves.
Amazing.
As long as you don't cut them vertically, because then we're stuffed, right? We can't. This is why you shouldn't cut.
But I think if you were going to hand me if you held sandwiches out left, fucking hell. If you had left an arm like that, there's the top, there's the bottom. I think I'd choose the bottom because I think there's more of it because the top's got the bum shaped bit.
I think probably mathematically you're right. However, if I was to choose a sandwich at a kid's party, which I have fucking loads of, by the way,
yeah, I know,
then I would always choose the top. If I can. If I'm having to go under 4 slices, and pick them all off.
So what about with party food?
Get to one.
Like party food when they've all been cut into little triangles.
No.
I don't. I mean, have you got any other weird food things that we can tease for next week? Because I don't.
I've got questions still. We can ask about that afterwards.
There's less questions.
Okay. Firstly, I'd like to ask what you think of like the side bits of crust. If the top's the best and the bottom's the worst, what's it like on the other edges?
So the sides are are by default the middling bits, aren't they? It's literally where it goes from worst to best. So just logically, they're the middle bits.
Do you eat them in like a gradient of which bit's better to worse?
So the other thing is, I will do more often than not a very similar thing to the pizza and eat the crust first.
I knew this was coming. I had a feeling.
To be fair, less sort of like breaking it off because there's no dip. But I probably will eat. I won't eat the middle of the sandwich bit and be left with the crust.
Why don't you just cut the crust off
and then have the middle bit and eat that?
Why don't you just cut the crust all off and have just
because I like food too much, mate. You don't get morbidly obese if you start cutting stuff off. This is a project.
He's got a point.
Fair-ish.
Okay.
So I in that sense, it's the same as pizza, and like it, like I say, it extends to like fresh bread as well, like because the
that's the bit I struggle with a little bit. I struggle with that because fresh bread to me is like one of the true, like pure goods.
It's definitely, to be clear, like I think it at the point of like fresh bread, it becomes more of a you've just got it ingrained from the sliced bread type
thing.
Right,
so hang on. What about like a crusty roll? Because like, listen, when we're talking bread, I take things seriously. I
Yeah,
genuinely,
so do I.
no. What I'm saying is, I
Saying
thought
that
I took
you're
it
not taking
seriously, but
I'm not taking
apparently
it
not enough.
seriously enough.
But like, I have been thinking this weekend coming up, just gone for those listening in the future, that the thing I'm going to have as my weekend treat is I'm going to get a couple of crusty rolls and a really crisp, sharp cheddar.
Yeah.
And that's
I did
gonna.
appreciate that when you said
I'm
that.
really looking forward. I genuinely have been looking forward to it all week. What do you do? Because that's just one whole thing.
I mean, when it comes to rolls, like I just eat rolls, like because like the top is kind of that's almost like I guess cutting it vertically, right? When you're talking about it, because the top is the bottom, so you just kind of get on with it, like. But like, yeah, rolls. I'm not as precious about rolls. Like I'm just not.
Okay.
Like
a baguette. Do you like the end bit? So I've got your French stick and some cheese, and my wife will always say she will always say, "Do you want the end bit?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah."
Like if I like baguettes. You know, I love baguettes. I
mean, who doesn't like a baguette? Christ.
We've discussed that. I like the crusty bits on the end. They're nice. I think for different things, like I'll always choose a central slice for like if I'm choosing like a slice of garlic bread. Like I don't want if I'm choosing a slice, I'll have one of the middle ones rather than the noggin.
Yeah, the secret to that, by the way, as someone with older kids, everyone goes for the middle bits first. Leave the end bits because no one else wants them, so you get extra.
I've done that as well. Yeah, get your quota of middle and then go for the ones that.
Sorry, we've had a comment.
Again, project.
We've had a comment. Sorry, that I think I don't like to normally read the live stuff because obviously this is a pre-recorded podcast for a lot of people. But Kieran has asked, does Chris hoover up all the bits of meat and veg in his soup before drinking the liquid?
Also, he's also said something that's factually incorrect above that. It says that the BLT is surely the worst part rather than the bread. Surely the fucking tomato is.
Well, I would agree, but I don't like tomatoes. So.
But I don't think tomatoes should be in sandwiches.
Soggies them up. Lyle, you had further questions, though, didn't you?
I don't.
I don't have a further question. This is more a statement of how, because Chris sort of called me a deviant for how I might have my sandwiches. So I want to make sure that I upset him before we move on.
Free.
Okay, so firstly, if I make myself a sandwich, I don't cut it in half. I just have it as a whole thing.
Okay.
Just eat it. Is that okay? Is that fine?
I mean, it's not what I would do, but I'm not.
Well, no.
It's not the bridge. It's not the hill I'm going to die on. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine.
I honestly thought you were going to just say then it's not the British thing to do for a second.
No, I was like, I can't remember. I got the things mixed up. Didn't I? I was
really confused as to where you were going.
And I
then
say hills.
Not the hill to die on.
The bridge I'm going to die on.
Yeah. There we go. So, and then the other aspect is, I don't pay much attention to the bread, and I'm pretty certain that most sandwiches I have, I don't necessarily have the tops on each slice of bread facing the same way.
Oh, you see, now you see that upsets me when that happens, because like that sometimes happens at kids' parties. Mums get wayward, right? When they're making sandwiches.
That's the title. Mums get wayward.
That winds me up because I'm like, have a bit of like, self-control.
Class. Say it.
Just come on now, because then you like it's lose-lose.
It's lose-lose.
You know
I've just sandwich. I'm so upset.
You can't. In that sense, you hope they're all cut into 4 triangles. You can have a cheeky side.
God, that's like your nightmare, isn't it? Because that's so if you've got 2 bits and then deliberately gone like that with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to hope that they're cut into 4 triangles, and then you just having a cheeky side. That's how you get round it. But again,
cheeky side.
It's a minefield.
It's a minefield.
This is not like I hate I hate that I'm so passionate about it. But I would like I said, Zoe would know it would annoy me. It would annoy me if she went, "Do you want a sandwich?" She didn't say that anyway, but like if she did,
I bet she doesn't. I wouldn't offer you one.
No,
not now. Not knowing what I know now, I'd be like, pasta.
Yeah, if she made it and she cut it vertically, I'd eat it, but I wouldn't be happy about it, and I'd eat each slice bottom to top.
I just want to think of you eating it like in the most spiteful way, just like every bite staring at her.
Spitting her cup of tea later.
Yep. Well, I think thanks to Yves Cuisinier.
Good question.
That's probably quite emotional. Like, I
don't.
Like, if I have a heart attack before the end of this list of correspondence, then blame Alan
Bread.
Chef. Right. McPoo says, with Dead Space and Resi 4 both getting good remakes this year, which beloved horror game should get a shiny new remake next? Lyle.
Okay, so McPoo asked this question, and then in the Discord, he was a
Told
bastard.
you your answer.
He was a bastard and said the answer immediately afterwards. That's the correct answer, which is the PS2 game Haunting Ground, which is sort of like it was going to be one of the Clock Tower series, and they kind of renamed it because I don't know if the Clock Tower series is really that like well known or renowned, and like people might not want to buy Clock Tower 4. But it's a horror game where you play as this girl called Alyssa, who you wake up with like no memories in a sinister castle, and it's pretty much all to do with being chased by different like evil, but different baddies. So like the first one is this like big sort of like brutish giant who isn't particularly intelligent and wants to and calls you his dolly and wants to like play with you essentially. And then there's like a creepy maid and stuff like that. But it was like it has to have been one of the like very early examples of a horror game where you like don't have much to defend yourself, you're more being chased. But it was really, really good. It was like well ahead of its time and just like it genuinely sinister, had some really good ideas, but also because it's a PS2 game, like trying to play it now for the first time would be really fucking difficult. Like I can't imagine people really like clicking with it that easily and finding it that like that manageable really as an experience. So if something like that got remade and they managed to sort of make that feel a little bit more modern, make it be a bit more palatable to a new audience, I think that'd be fucking awesome. That's my answer. It was that's his answer, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a couple of obvious ones. I think the Silent Hill just remake.
Yeah, the Silent Hill one.
But that's kind of happening, sort of, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say Alone in the Dark, but that's also happening.
I was going to say they were the two that instantly jumped into my head, and I was like, I can't really have either of them. So I was like,
so I guess my third choice would be Parasite Eve. I think probably.
Oh, that's a cool one.
Which I loved back in the day with PlayStation 1, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the first one. Were they both on PlayStation 1? Because
I think so, yeah.
And then there was a PSP one, the third birthday.
But like, because that was Konami as well, wasn't it? Or was that Capcom? I think can't remember.
Ooh.
I want to say it was.
You were right with Konami. But...
I want to say it was Konami,
yeah.
because like, I just remember like there was a lot of cool stuff like that back then. So yeah, I think I'd go with that. Yeah,
I really struggle with this because I didn't play much horror back ago, like to remake. I mean, unless they did like an Eternal Darkness, I'd fucking love that. Like we mentioned,
that's not a bad shout though, is it?
No, that's another one. But they could remake Luigi's Mansion.
That's probably the closest horror title I played because it's that sort of time. That would be great. I'd love that. That game was brilliant. So you think about what they could do now with like the sanity meter stuff, that'd be quality. Like I'd love that to
definitely.
get another going out. Yeah, I'll say that. That's good. That's off the cuff.
Cool.
Okay, doke. So Mick's given us all questions. Start off with one for all of us, which is, what is your favourite DLC/expansion you've played recently? Which I know has got our brains whirring.
We had to think about this one, didn't we?
Well, yeah. I think if we hadn't spent half an hour on bread, we could probably have a real long discussion about this. Perhaps we could another time. But
blame me. Your question.
It's mine. No, I wrote the question. Well, Eve wrote the question. For me, I can't think of many this generation yet. I would have to go back to last gen, where I would go like the Horizon not Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn, Frozen Wilds, or Bloodborne's. Christ, what was it called? Something Old Hunters.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I can't think of too many. I mean, Splatoon 2 had Octo expansion that was terrific. I wouldn't mind actually. I think it could be quite good. The recent Rabbids game, Sparks of Hope, had some DLC. Looks quite cool, but unfortunately, I feel like they've released it too late. Like it needed to be not like a month after, but it's like ages after, and I'd have to relearn the game almost. I couldn't remember it. So that. Probably Bloodborne would be me. I mean, the Mass Effect 2 stuff I always go back to, that was excellent. I really can't think of anything.
Really long ago. Yeah.
I can't think of much. I really can't. So,
I mean,
sorry.
mine is on Sudden Rise Sunbreak. I need to play more of it. And to be honest, I'd be up for I'm up for that Wild Hearts like pace DLC as well. That's the kind of DLC I think I would play more of, like just similar stuff, just more monsters and stuff. So yeah, the Sunbreak's good. I need to play more of it still. I haven't done anywhere near as much as I want to, but it's hard enough getting people on Overwatch, let alone
I'm even going through like
Sunbreak. So
I'm even going through like the Google list of like games of 2022, seeing what comes up, and it's just. I mean, Ollie World had some DLC, but I didn't play it. So
yeah.
Lyle, what's yours? While Adam's trying to find an answer.
Mine is one I reviewed very recently, so it's pretty handy. But the new Dead by Daylight chapter update, you can buy them as DLC. So I'm counting that as being the same sort of thing on like the Xbox store or whatever. But yeah, Dead by Daylight Tools of Torment, which added what's she called? She's got drones anyway. The Skull Merchant, a new killer who's really interesting. I find her one of my favorites to play as. Like, she has sort of like a few stealth abilities. The drones like track where survivors are, so you can kind of place them around generators. And yeah, it's just a really cool. Like it's added a lot of enjoyment to the game for me, and I play a hell of a lot of it.
Can you just keep talking, because he really wants to say what his is? So if you could just keep talking,
I'm quite happy to just wait here, and I'll just reveal it when I need to. And Lyle's gonna absolutely want to shoot himself when I do.
Go for it. Go on. I'm excited now.
Cuphead.
Oh, that's a really good shout, though. Yeah, that was on my fucking Game of the Year list last year.
And you know what? I've got another one that's going to make Chris want to do it as well.
Oh, go on then.
Nobody Saves the World.
That was good.
That's a good one.
That was good.
I can't even go, well, my memory, because none of us got those.
No.
I mean, Cuphead. I mean, my God.
Yeah, that was very good. I don't feel too bad though, because mine that I said was more recent, and he said recent. So
that's why
Cuphead's a great shout.
Yeah, those are two fantastic games with good DLC. The Cuphead DLC is like, if you haven't got it and you're a fan of that previous game, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know.
It improves on the original in basically every way. It's just so good.
Yep, absolutely. I think we can move on to his. Yeah,
let's move on. So I'll do your questions first then. What do you think of the Horizon Burning Shores expansion price?
I think it's good, isn't it? I'm quite surprised by it.
I didn't even know what it was, to be fair.
I think people assumed it was going to be like 30, 40 quid, and it's actually 19. Like,
is it? I mean, because my wife will be buying it, so I don't care.
The fact is, because they also said that it's because the Horizon Forbidden West is PS4 and PS5. But this DLC is just PS5.
Yes.
And so they said something about like it could only work. I don't know what it actually is going to be. I'm really excited to try it because I love that game. But it did sort of make you think, oh, hang on, what does that mean for it? But no, I mean, hey, listen, it could always be cheaper, but it's quite a nice surprise.
I mean, I would. A AAA games DLC, which will be chunky. We know it won't be like one mission, will it? For less than 20 quid. That's good. Like that's less than I was actually expected, to be honest. I didn't know what it was, so that's good. She can use her own money. Right, Adam, have you tried Terra Neil's demo on PC? It's coming to Netflix mobile and PC next week.
No, the only Netflix mobile game I played is Turtles.
I remember you saying about that.
Because I played it recently as well, because I was stuck in a hospital with 0 reception, and somehow it worked. Like, because it doesn't need you to connect to Netflix, and it doesn't. Once you've logged in, which I already had for the trial before, it just lets you play it like a normal game. I was quite pleased with that, but no, I haven't. Sorry.
I really want to know what your answer is to this. Triangle Strategy or Octopath 2, if you could pick one as the best.
Isn't it an easy one?
I mean, I haven't played Triangle. That's why I want to know.
But Lyle, I
hope I know what the answer is.
I gave one of them a 10, so I think.
Well, that's the one I'm going for. I'd go Octopath 2.
Yeah.
I mean, Triangle Strategy's great.
Oh God, yeah.
I've not played it, which I know I hate myself for, but like, Octopath 2 it's so good. Like, I hate to say it because I know you want to play it, but like, I keep playing that game and it keeps making me smile. It's not just one of those ones that like, oh, it's nice to dip in and play. Like it is that, but like I just find myself loving the stories and stuff and finding like the hidden stuff, and it's just I always enjoy myself when I'm playing it, and I blink and go, crap, I've been playing this for 4 hours and I've not regretted any of it. I wouldn't know how many hours I've spent, but I don't regret any of them. And I've got so much more to do. It's just phenomenal.
Like, listen, the one thing, like, you know, obviously come Game of the Year time, and we'll have Chris White and Mick hopefully as well on the show. At the moment, like the two biggies that have been like given 10s would be Octopath 2 and Resi 4. And I think all three of us on this podcast are of the opinion that, like, right now, I'm glad I haven't got to make a decision just yet, because I don't know.
No.
Yeah,
no, it's one of those
Octopath 2,
things.
definitely
Like,
out
I
of
want to know
that
how I
triangle.
feel like later.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like I say, a lot of that is going to depend on what games like Redfall, Starfield, what games, you know, Spider-Man 2, you know,
the Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm trying not to think about Tears of the Kingdom, but what they all do.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
100%.
but the question was Triangle or Octopath, and for me, it's Octopath. Yeah.
He's asked me and you this thoughts on Lego 2K Drive. Now, I've just seen pictures. I've not seen anything else other than pictures, and looks like it could be quite fun. But that's about all I can say.
Well, the thing is, Visual Concept make incredible looking games. Like they have been. It's a weird one to know that they are now making a Lego game, having made WWE games and NBA games. But the other thing as well is, like, Lyle, I don't think you've played this year's, but like the WWE games, by all accounts, are back on track after they changed into Visual Concepts. They took a few years, but and the NBA games they've been, microtransactions have been not great. How much of that's Visual Concepts versus how much of that is 2K, we don't know. We'll never know. It's interesting, isn't it? Because like it's always been Warner Bros. That do Lego stuff, because they've had the deal. They've got TT Games doing them. They've always been Warner Bros. Games. So it's interesting that 2K have now got a deal, and it does actually. The press release was very clear. This is the first in a multi-title deal. So we're going to get more. It's weird because the trailer makes it look like a Mario Kart style, but it's not. From what I understand, it's more of a big open world, and there's customization, multiplayer, story stuff. So I think it looks really. I mean, I'm in. I'll have a look at it. Sorry, I know it's a bit positive, but you know.
Yeah, you definitely are not allowed to be positive.
No, I haven't seen anything yet that makes me go, oh, it just looks kind of cool.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, it actually would be quite nice to have, like that type of game be really good, like that. You know, so that fingers crossed, right?
Yeah. It's your questions next, though, isn't it? So, what's the most annoying game you've had to review?
So this took me about 10 seconds to come up with an answer, and I haven't changed my mind. What do you guys think the answer is?
I don't know at all. I'm trying to wrap my brains.
Was it this year?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I know what it is. So I'll let you finish. Well, do you want me? It's Colossal Cave.
Oh God, no.
No.
Although actually, that was annoying. That was annoying to review.
But it was this year.
Yeah.
I have no fucking.
Well, it would have to be. I can't remember the name of the game. The one where you kept getting crashes and. Oh, well, you just have to tell us because I can't remember the name of the game.
I mean, I'm wondering if I've jumped the gun with my answer, which was Wanted Dead, because of the way I just went
holy
right
shit!
down.
Of course,
But
of course.
I'm trying to think of the crashes one now.
The puzzle game. It's a bit portally, but it's more like a cartoon-looking one. Backfirewall.
Oh, yeah, that was a shame.
That was just technical aspects.
That wasn't annoying.
Yeah.
That wasn't annoying. No, that wasn't annoying. The Colossal Cave was annoying because it just rigidly stuck to the 1970s. But
right.
The Wanted Dead thing, I think, just because it went from up here to down there in 24 hours, that was quite annoying.
Now you've said that, it's like, God, yeah, that was, of course. Although I did like go, was that this year? Yeah, no, it was.
I just now need to just open up a certain website. Hang on.
Oh,
1
okay.
second
So I'll
talk amongst
slowly
yourselves.
ask this question then. Although I don't think it needs to be that slow because I think you know. I'm sure he asked this before. What
I think
games
it was
are
maybe.
you looking forward to doing guides for in June? Now, of the ones, the biggies, I can think of the Street Fighter 6. There's Diablo. There's Final Fantasy 16 in June, isn't there? So I'm guessing he's getting at that.
I'm just trying to remind myself so that guides. See, guides is a really interesting thing, right? Because it can be great, or it can suck fun out of things as well. So it really does depend. I mean, I'm just looking down this now. What would I most like to do?
Oh, it's got to be Diablo, surely.
I think it's Final Fantasy 16 as well.
Yeah, but Diablo's like, to do guides on Diablo, you've got to like play everything and do everything and try all the things. Surely, whereas we don't really know enough about 16 yet to know what, you know.
Potentially. I mean, why not Goodbye Volcano High?
Why not?
I can't do it on Street Fighter 6 because I'm not an authority. You'd have to do that.
I'm not an authority.
Yeah, Diablo 4. Like, I mean, I played the demo. Sorry, the closed beta. Like that.
We could have talked about that. Forgot all about that. Maybe we'll do it another week.
Yeah, but yeah, we can maybe talk about it next week. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, let's say that actually. Yeah.
Okay, back to you.
Okey-dokey. Sorry.
Sorry. You've got another question. Top 3 remakes in recent years.
Oh yeah. Well,
sorry.
So two this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just. There's loads. When I started looking for a third, I was like, my
Wait,
God,
what's the other one this year?
Dead Space Resi. Oh.
What was it?
What
Sorry.
were you thinking the third one was this year?
I was wondering if Dead Space would be up there.
No,
but
I don't think he's played that.
No. So mine are Resi, Metroid, and.
Oh, for God's sake, Metroid. Yeah.
I love that game, and you know, and then I think the other one I have to say in recent years is Final Fantasy VII. But I mean, there's like Link's Awakening and various things I could have said. Like there's quite a lot that when I started like thinking about it, there's loads. But I think those would be my top 3. Resi 4 remake is. I mean, you can start talking about the other Resis, but like Resi 4 remake's outstanding. Metroid Prime was exactly what I needed when I needed it.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy VII remake is superb. 3 10s.
Yeah.
Locked in.
If I was going to do a top 3, I mean, when I was writing the Resi 4 review and saying it was like the best remake ever, the other one that was coming to mind was Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. And I was like, if it's not the best ever, that's the competition.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's the benchmark of like amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Lyle, do your questions now. So, what do you want to see in a potential new Atelier game featuring Ryza?
I mean, this is a difficult question because, like, there's been loads of them. But I just reviewed Atelier Ryza 3, and what they did with that game was they basically just made everything happen like twice as fast in every situation. So, like, whereas in past games you'd go up to items to collect them to, you know, using your alchemy, which is the whole hook of the series, you could like be sprinting along and just mashing A as you go past collection things, and it just like I've got it, and like everything would take no time at all.
Game after my own heart.
Yeah, it is great for that. But like, I don't know what I'd say. I mean, sometimes they can be a little bit overly. Sorry.
Well, you said double time. Let's go 4 times.
Just make it faster.
Yeah,
it's almost too fast in Ryza 3, so I don't know if that's what I can say. But I think sometimes they get a bit bogged down in sort of like more complex mechanics where you kind of like some of the different things you can do in this the combat in the game that's very fast paced. It's like holding every shoulder button to then swap to this character, and you can like tag people in and have certain moves at certain times. Like I think they could maybe like they could tone elements of it down, and like there are just some mechanics that I think are a little bit unnecessary. I mean, if I was going to pick one thing, I reviewed this game on the Switch and it didn't run very well. So make the Switch version run a bit better.
I think there's a question very much related.
Into the next question, actually. Did Ryza 3 make you want to Switch Pro?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it more made me wished that I was able to just have played it on the Steam Deck, but they didn't update it very quickly on there. I don't know if at launch it will run as well as, because I know Atelier Sophie 2, I've played that on Steam Deck, and that ran really well when, by the time I did, but it was quite a long time after I reviewed it. So like, I don't know if that's something that will be better down the line or if they're saving for like at launch, but like, it didn't necessarily make me want a Switch Pro so much as it made me just wish I'd got code on another platform.
Okie dokie. How's your progress with the indie horror game Pound going?
The indie horror game Pound is a game I'm still not playing. I wasn't playing it last week. I'm not playing it this week. I don't know if I'll ever play it. Maybe I will play it, but like, it's not something that is a game I'm planning to play anytime soon. It will be a game I play when I have some downtime. Maybe it would be a good end of December, no more reviews to do game or something like that. Like it looks interesting. It does look like it's up my alley, but like it kind of came and went at the wrong time. And yeah, so I'm still not playing it. If he asks next week, I'm not here, so it's fine.
Yeah. So this is actually a follow-up question from last week when it was asked which game would you most like to review after somehow you managed to secure Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Somehow.
And you said Final Fantasy 16.
I did.
So now, up in the stakes a little bit, if you were given a choice between 500 pies or reviewing Final Fantasy 16, what would you take?
Can I ask a question before Lyle gets the answer here? Is this also related... Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, of course you can.
Is this also relating to the mince pies thing?
I kind of think so.
Yeah,
because
okay.
if so, I really don't think... I'm not convinced that Mick knows what a mince pie is properly, because 500... Like, if you're talking 500, like, pucker pies, like meat pies...
Yeah.
I think it's a different question. But, I mean, it's not my question, so...
It is. So it is difficult. It is based on the number of pies.
We can never do with listener correspondence is answer the question that's written.
Okay.
And it hasn't said mince pies.
It hasn't said mince
then,
pies.
so we're going to treat that as whatever Lyle likes to think of when he thinks of 500 pies.
Yeah.
Exactly that, yes.
Okay.
Well, there's a kind of an issue with this situation in that if I got 500 pies, like, a lot of them will go to waste. It would be a difficult situation to get an influx suddenly of 500 pies, and no matter the condition they come in, and be able to say these pies are going to be edible by the time I get to number 420.
Yeah.
I don't know how you make that work.
I'll be honest, I was surprised with the potato saga, if I'm honest. Like when you bought the 20 kilos of potatoes, and there's like two of you, and you were like, it'll be fine, and we were sitting there going, they'll be their own mashed potato by the time you get to the bottom of the bag, and you were like, it's fine. And to be honest, we never heard about how that story finished, but like, yeah, 500 pies. How
that story finished is that the potatoes are not all gone yet, and they're also not like mush yet. They're fine.
Are they squidgy? A little bit squidgy?
They're not a little bit squidgy. I think because I've kept them in a dark cupboard, they're doing pretty well. There's a few shoots, admittedly, but like the shoots didn't even start coming in before I was past halfway. And I'd like to say for the record that it's been 80% to 90% me eating those potatoes. It's not really been a two-person job. It's been a fucking Lyle job. But yeah, no, they've gone down great. That's worked out fine. I do think pies are more perishable than potatoes.
I mean, I will agree with that statement.
Yeah.
So even mince pies, though, are a law unto themselves, aren't they?
They do, yeah. That mince pies, I can confirm that mince pies last a lot longer than their best before. Yes. From experience, from the 50 I had. It was 50, wasn't it? Yeah, 25 packs of mince pies.
Oh, it's like 27 or something random.
Oh, no, yeah, it was 54 total.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, that's still quite a lot less than 500.
It is quite a lot less than 500. If I was to be given, if I could be given 500 pies and like I could collect them in batches, so that I wasn't
Like the
going...
kind of thing where you win a competition. It's like,
Yeah,
a
it's
pie
like-
every day for
like
the rest of
50
your life.
pies a month for life, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I take the pies.
Oh, God,
But
yeah.
this is also difficult because at some point I'll definitely play Final Fantasy 16, whether I review it or not. Even if I only got to eat like 50 of these pies,
It's pies, mate.
I'm
Come
still
on.
getting
Gotta
free
go.
pies.
I mean, if you go, no, I want to review Final Fantasy 16, I will give up free pies. Like,
Yeah.
you could be the talk of the town. You could be Pie Man, be giving away free pies because you've acquired 500
The
pies.
Pie Man.
You could keep 100
Yeah,
for yourself and still be like, yeah, Pie Man,
Mr. Pie.
Mr. Pie. That name again is Mr.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so the pies, I guess, is the answer to that
Oh, we need to
question.
do the jingle.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 500 pies, that's what you'd take.
500
That's
pies.
the
I
answer.
agree.
I agree as well. I am going to butcher the next question. Okay, so I'm going to try my best. Is Riesling Stout's favourite Souls-like Timesia? Timesia? Thymesia?
I think it's
Videogamist?
I assume it's supposed to be something to do with thighs. I'll admit. Okay, so Riesling Stout is Riser's full name of Atelier Riser.
Okay.
So that's the character. I think I am pretty sure this is a joke. I think this question's a joke
I
question.
mean, the best jokes are the ones that no one fucking gets.
And the best
Carry on.
just the ones where we all just sort of go, I'm not sure. But yes, is my answer.
Brilliant. Well, that's the end of this week's Chris Hyde's listener correspondence. Play the jingle. Chris Hyde, listener correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
Well, thank you, Chris Hyde, for your listener correspondence, and thank you to anybody who's listened to the podcast this week, watched it, read some transcription somehow on something, I don't know, whatever. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being here to Chris and to Lyle. Obviously, Lyle, you won't be here next week.
I'm not. I'm abandoning you for a week. I'm sure you will do brilliantly in my absence because sometimes I'm not here anyway.
We'll talk about some games. It's all right.
I bet you will. Good job.
If you did enjoy this podcast, go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek where you can find out more about what we do and support us directly. And you can go and find our Patreon Discord and meet our community who's provided these questions, apart from one of them which came from an email from Yves Cuisinier. Follow us on social medias.
Do you know what? No, before we finish,
Yeah.
I'm actually annoyed at myself that I didn't get that. I'm actually really angry that I didn't figure that out.
The thing is, mate, you could have just said you did get
I'm
it and
such
you
a
played
nice
along the whole
person.
time, and I would have absolutely believed you.
I'm such a nice person that I think everything's genuine. I trust you guys
What a
implicitly,
fool.
and you've thrown
Yeah.
that in my face.
I think I did say to Lyle, if he doesn't realise that, then he is more trusting than even I thought, and I already thought you were pretty trusting. So. Yeah, follow us on social media at God is a Geek, and do click subscribe, do click the bell button, leave a comment telling us what if you got any weird bread foibles. Not that I'm suggesting anything, Chris, don't start. But have you got any weirdness with bread? I don't know. Are you a bread deviant? I don't know. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye bye for now.